Hey, welcome to the Actor's Career Compass, where we give actionable, bite-sized tips to help you navigate your acting career. I'm your host, Martin Benson, and today we'll be talking about what to do if you feel stuck in your acting career, where nothing that you do ever seems to work and it feels like you're up against a brick wall. It can be scary to be in this place. I know for many years, my business was stuck at pretty much the same level, and it felt like no matter what I did, nothing would change. And at times now, I still get stuck, and I have to come back and use this process I'm about to share with you whenever I need to get unstuck. So, what do you do? Well, here are my suggestions. First thing, you need to actually make sure that you are stuck and it's not just a feeling. So I recommend setting a very specific and attainable goal if you haven't already. And this is just because one of the major reasons people get stuck is because they don't have any clear goals that they're working on. Instead, they just sort of have some vague notion of one day I hope something happens. So it's much better to set a very clear goal and a timeline for it, and then start doing whatever you can to achieve it. Right? So set something short that you know will be helpful for you, something that's just a few months. And then if you don't see any progress or you haven't moved closer to that goal by the end of the timeline, at that point, it's pretty clear and you know that you actually are stuck and it's not just a feeling. Now, step 2 is to analyze what is actually getting in your way. So if you're feeling stuck in your acting career, before you go out and decide to spend money on new headshots or getting a new reel done, you actually need to figure out what is actually causing you to be stuck. A lot of actors believe, or at least are told, that if they're not booking, well, they automatically need to get new headshots. But it's possible that your headshots are fine. So the best way to get a sense of what's actually stopping you is to think about your audition and booking ratios. So, for instance, if you're submitting a lot, but you're never getting auditions, then yes, maybe your headshot or your reel is to blame. But if you're getting auditions and you're just never really booking them, well, it's probably more likely to do something with your auditioning ability. Or I guess you could actually look at your headshot as well. If you look way different than you do in your headshot, then chances are if you're showing up, a casting director is going to look and be like, oh, this isn't who I was expecting, so you're not going to book the job, right? But if you definitely feel like you look pretty similar to what you do in your headshot, then an issue like that is probably closer to audition or acting technique. So I personally recommend getting a second set of eyes to look at things in your career, because it's generally easier for someone else to notice something than for you to notice it, just because you can kind of get tunnel vision looking at your own materials over and over again for such a long time. So you need to figure out what is getting in your own way before you actually move on to step 3, which I'll outline in a second. But before we continue, I'd just like to briefly talk about my career coaching services for actors. So I work with actors all over the world via Zoom to help them get unstuck and move their careers forward. I can help you figure out exactly what is holding you back and how to get unstuck so that you start booking way more acting work. If you're interested, you can visit my website at martinbenson.com, Martin, M-A-R-T-I-N, Benson, B-E-N-T-S-E-N.com, and you'll be able to learn more about working with me one-to-one, and you can sign up there. Now, if you do this analysis on your career, you want to figure out what needs to be changed, but you have to be realistic with yourself. Right? Some things can be changed and other things can't. So if this is something that can be changed, then do the hard work to change it, right? And that might involve spending some money or investing some time. Nothing is obviously going to change if you don't actually try to change it. But if this thing that's getting in your way is something that actually can't be changed, in that case, I recommend using or figuring out how to use your situation to your advantage. One example, let's pretend that you're not based in the United States, but you want to perform here. I get this question a lot from actors, and I actually did a recent podcast episode on visas and all of that. So let's say that you do want to move to the United States to perform, but then you realize that the visa situation is almost impossible to overcome right now. So then the question is, how can you build your acting career somewhere else for the time being? I know people don't like to hear that because it can sound negative, but the fact is you have to acknowledge reality and work within its parameters. Now, I don't share this story often, but ever since I was 9 years old, I had always had a dream of becoming a film director. But unfortunately, that proved to be too challenging because I didn't have the right connections and I didn't have enough money to support myself to spend all of my time doing something like filmmaking where there is such a high chance of failure and not making money, right? You have to spend a ton of money on a film and the chance of it getting picked up and being successful are super low. So instead, I started a headshot business. I decided to grow my headshot business slowly over time, and I slowly increased my income with the goal that one day I would be able to spend my own money to make my own films and have enough money to support myself. Now, I haven't gotten to where I really wanted to be yet, but from the outside, many people think I just got lucky and was super successful building a business. They don't actually see the failure of one dream and then how I put over a decade of consistent work dealing with constant minor failure after constant minor failure and periods where things were really terrible, business was really slow and all of that. And how after all of that, I built a business that was something that wasn't even my initial goal, right? So this actually happens to a lot of people. They look successful from the outside, but perhaps what they're so successful in isn't even what they wanted to do in the first place. Now, don't get me wrong. I learned to love headshots. I really enjoy it. And I feel a deep passion and love for working with actors and helping them grow their careers. Honestly, at this point, I enjoy it even more than I enjoyed writing and directing films by a lot. And this all came from what some people would call a failure, but my business looks like a success if you don't know the full story. Now, if I were a negative person, I could have said, no, this sucks. I'm not doing what I've always wanted to do in life, and I'm just going to stay focused on this seemingly impossible dream of becoming a well-known film director and constantly struggle with it. But no, instead, I built up a different related business and I changed my perspective. And now that that's going, I'm able to ask myself, how can I continue to pursue the next thing that I really want to do? So I believe that wherever you are in life, you can choose to build a life you love within the parameters of whatever is holding you back. And eventually you build up so much success that more options become available to you. In many cases, it might only take 5 to 10 years until your original dream is actually possible to achieve. Or you can fight against it and always struggle your entire life and feel stuck. So to wrap up, if you're really feeling stuck, first, make sure that you actually are stuck, right? Then figure out what is getting in your way. If it's something you can change, put the work in to change it. And if it's truly impossible to change that, what other success can you build right now that might not be exactly what you want, but can position you so in the next 5 to 10 years, you can get what you really want? That's pretty much all I have for you today. Thanks for listening. If you want more great tips like these, sign up for my newsletter. Every week, I send out actionable, bite-sized tips to help you grow your acting career and to improve your technique. You can visit actorsuccesscoach.com, and enter your name and email on that page to stay up to date on the latest and best industry hacks and secrets that I'll be sharing. Thanks so much, and I'll see you soon.